All right, good morning, greetings and salutations. So let's just assume that anybody's going to show up here because I showed up 10 minutes late. I apologize very much for that. I was having Wi-Fi issues. Such is life. Anyway, hello friends. It's Larsen, slightly less live than normal. Well, I am live, but slightly later live. It's August 26th. We opened up with Johnny Atma, aka TheJonnyDeath, aka Game Metals, cover of the Moon theme from everybody's favorite video game about a belligerent Scottish duck, DuckTales on the NES, because it's very relevant to what's going on in the world today, and it's a good song and a good video. And yet, Scrooge McDuck is only my second favorite character from the Disney canon. 1950s abusive father Goofy is and always will be the best cartoon. But anyway, let's move on. I usually do a hard time limit of 2 hours on these streams, but now I have an even harder time limit of 2 hours because I have another music student who I must teach at noon. It's online, so thankfully I don't have to put on pants, which is good, but nonetheless, I have to reinforce a hard 2 hour time limit. Anyway, assuming that anybody shows up here, nobody has. That's wonderful. Let's get to the news. The moon. For several years, she has fascinated many. And it is now official. The moon is now a designated shitting street, a designated shitting moon, if you will, poo to the moon, for India has successfully landed its first lunar rover, unmanned, of course, but impressive nonetheless, on the south side of the moon. Superpower by 2020, indeed. In all seriousness, I say with a growing sense of grim desperation that nobody's going to show up. In all seriousness, and to remove attention from India's ongoing issues with public defecation, it is quite a feat. And it is another kick to the dick to all the dipsticks who are like, blurt my Van Allen belt, you can't get through that herp. Yeah, thanks. Your high school dropout level understanding of the physics of the visible light spectrum is quite useful to NASA and the Indian Space Agency, or whatever it's called. I don't know what the acronym is. Let's look that up. Uh, Daphne says, when am I invisible? Well, no, of course you're not invisible, my love, but I mean, you're kind of in the same room I'm in as I do this stream. So when I say nobody, I meant nobody other than you, of course, darling. Anyway, yeah, let's look up what the Indian Space Agency's name is. Okay, well, there's the Indian Squash Academy. That's not it. See, there's the Iranian and the Israeli Space Agency, ISA. It's not it. Anyway, I'm sure I'll look it up as I go through the links. Shinseki Evans says he's here. Thank you, sir. Let's hope some other people show up. Again, I apologize very much for being 10 minutes late. Uh, yeah. Anyway, would that Buzz Aldrin could punch every moon landing denier in the face, just like he did to Bart Sibrel. The Indian Space Agency, which... Okay, I really gotta look this up. It's the Indian Space Association. I'm sorry, I take that back. It's the ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, ISRO. So I was fairly close. But yeah, anyway, the ISRO, along with every other space agency of note, has verified that the Apollo 11 moon landings happened. And I'm pretty damn sure Russia and China would have seized the opportunity to gloat about America's hoax if they could prove such a thing. When asked why two countries that hate the United States, Russia and China, would be in on it, the average moon landing denier hemmed and hawed and then resumed their life of utter mediocrity. But yes, to return to ISRO's historic accomplishment, the Chandrayaan 3 lunar module landed on the south pole of the moon on August 23rd. And surprising to me, a bunch of hard left types in India are whining about it. And they're whining about it for the same reasons that hard leftists in America hate NASA. Why didn't you give this money to social entitlements? So it's not just the USA that has these bug people, it's India too. And I would presume every other country that has some sort of space program, Russia, China, the European Union, whatever it is. I've said it before, and I will say it again. If you see your government literally blasting off into space, conquering new worlds, and your first thought is take all that money and give it to social entitlements, you are a spiritual plebeian. You're a spiritual peasant, and your opinion can be utterly discarded. Let's check out some comments here. Biff Slankovich says he's here. We should drop Vivek Ramaswamy on the moon. We could also drop the Trump cavalcade on the moon also. Perhaps. I mean, it is an Indian vehicle, so I assume there's already like 200 people clinging to the sides. Kidding, of course. Kidding. Yeah. So the Chandrayaan landing, by the way, sparked a bit of a tiff between India and the UK. And by India and the UK, I mean extremely online geeks shitposting on Twitter. The UK says, "You landed a lunar lander. Can you stop taking our foreign aid now?" And India responded that the British can give them their crap back from the British Museum. It never ends. Nor does it end that British people furiously whitewash the British Empire whenever they get the chance, much more so than any American will ever do to our misdoings, might I add. Direct quote I saw from this little Twitter tiff: "We have nothing to apologize for we ended the slave trade," says the British Empire. Yeah, you can keep telling yourselves that. Not at all like there's more slavery in the world now than there was in the 19th century. But yes, many congratulations to India and the Chandrayaan lunar module. I very much approve of space exploration. But yeah, speaking of outer space, speaking of the dismal state of America's space program, Astrobroad ruins everything. So apparently, a while back, there were quote unquote baseless claims that a female astronaut drilled a hole in a spacecraft docked at the ISS because she wanted to get out of her work and go home early. Well, it turns out that was confirmed. Russia's space agency investigated a hole that was drilled in the Soyuz MS-09 in 2018. It was a NASA lady astronaut, 45 years old. She had broken up with a recent crew member that she was, sleeping with, and she wanted to go home because she didn't like him anymore. Serena Onion Chancellor, she drilled a hole in that spacecraft and it caused the air pressure to drop. Bravo, lady astronauts. No, okay, obviously, there have been many women who have been competently blasted off into space. This woman was not one of them. Can we please screen astronauts a little more carefully so that, hysterical astro broads don't ruin everything and risk the lives of people on board the space station? Houston, we need to talk. What about? Why don't you know what my problem is? God. Am I being stereotypically feminine? Yes. All right. Let's see. I remember like a while back there was some other lady astronaut who dropped like a bag of tools in space and just flew off into the distance. Yeah, and then there was also some kind of tiff about toilets on the spaceship. And, the NASA toilets apparently weren't comfortable enough because there's always, dudes around. So they had to design lady toilets that ladies can comfortably use on the spaceship. I mean, mainly I'm just interested in hearing about this whole affair this woman was having with another astronaut. We've all heard of the Mile High Club, but what about the 100 Mile High Club? Zero G sex. What could that be like? I'm sorry, I got a little distracted there. I don't know why this woman couldn't have just waited patiently for everybody else, but no, she had to go home right now. She just felt uncomfortable. Obviously, not all women are like this, but can we please try to keep these kind of women off the space stations? Ian Kempster says the same joke I did. Houston, we have a problem. Nothing. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, Biff Slankovich says JFK did not want to show his face at the March on Washington. He was afraid of losing these Southern Democrat votes. Politics has not much changed. No, it has not. I like to think that, speaking of JFK and the new frontier, I would have thought that space exploration would have been a light of hope to us all, but I guess not. You know, reading about the Indian lunar module, there were many ladies involved in that, so I guess India has its, Astrobroads, working competently. Wish we could say the same about America. But yes, speaking of the Indian subcontinent, and related to the whole beef between India and the UK, there is a recent intellectual trend that is more and more noticeable on the internets, in that India is now, making up pseudo history to glorify themselves all up and down the place. As we all know, hatred and contempt for the history and culture of the Western world is basically academic canon at this point. Hell, I've made fun of the Afrocentric history many times. But apparently, there's a whole subset of Twitter where Hindutva nationalists will basically do the same thing. Because, you can certainly say Western civilization sucks, but Western civilization did many good things in addition to its admitted sins. But if your fundamental thesis is that it all sucks, it kind of throws a wrench into your plans if you say those good things also happened. So now it's like you have this floating void where the good stuff can be claimed by anybody. Decolonizing the curriculum means everybody runs to fill the vacuum left by the decline of Western Civ. And this leads us to a Professor C.K. Raju, for example, going, India invented the Pythagorean theorem, Euclidean geometry. The Greeks didn't do shit. Personally, I don't understand why they feel the need to do this. It's not like India doesn't have its own legitimate and documented claims to mathematical greatness. Arabic numerals are, in fact, Indian numerals. And why are we just ignoring Ramanujan and all the other people? Can we, stop making up shit? I would very much approve of that as an educator myself. Give credit to where it is due, to whoever it is due to. But we need to stop this pseudo-historical crap. Because Europeans cannot simultaneously be rapacious slave drivers who utilize technology to ravage the poor, innocent, noble savage, and also ignorant troglodytes who did nothing while everybody else was levitating pyramids with their minds. Do you not see how those things are counterintuitive? I mean, I guess I'm the only person who can put together an if-then statement nowadays. Hey. Ian Kempster says, if the Western world is so bad, why do immigrants flock here? Why go somewhere you hate? Yes, I feel the same way. Obviously, I don't sugarcoat things. I admit when America does something wrong or when I do something wrong. But let's also admit that it's not all bad. And yeah, actually related to that, Ian, another note about the subcontinent, the last thing I have to say about the Indian subcontinent. On Twitter, a Ms. Sameera Khan, who claims to be a Trump-supporting Republican, went a little bit viral on the Twitter machines for speaking disparagingly of a video of some blonde chick from somewhere south of the Mason-Dixon, Tennessee, if my knowledge of regional accents is accurate. She says, this is literally the worst accent in the world. It's disgusting. Well, first of all, having seen the video, yeah, the woman's clearly kind of exaggerating the southern accent to the point where she sounds like Sandy Cheeks. I mean, nobody actually talks like this. In the way I do, when I want to fuck with people, I'll take my normal accent and turn up the grease and hair gel until I talk like a 1930s mob enforcer getting some coffee. But secondly, Sameera, I know she's actually from Pakistan, not India. And I say this as an Asian myself. Do you really have any business making fun of anybody's accent? Like, people in glass houses really ought not to throw stones. But yeah, it's also pretty amazing how an alleged, Trump-supporting Republican still finds time to have seething hatred of your average, wholesome farm girl. But then again, it's hardly like she's alone in that regard. Quite a few of the Republican mainstream have nothing but virulent hatred and contempt for flyover redneck types. I can't say I feel the same way. I would vastly prefer to hang out with Farmer Fred than, the Bill Crystals or Sameera Khans of the world. The people who worship stock lines and literally nothing else. My wife says opportunity. Ian Kempster says, I'm glad we create opportunities for everybody. Yeah, I mean, with India, it's like they're having a massive brain drain. And I don't know if that's really something to brag about. They're like, yeah, we're going to go to other countries and just, crowd everybody out. Yay. All right. But yeah, let's leave subcontinental follies aside for now. And let's see what's going on in the USA. Okay. There's the Trump mugshot that got posted, and it's causing quite a stir. Let me pull that one up right now. Wait. Hey. Yeah, we got the Trump mugshot. And I'm not going to lie, I could very easily see this being made into a t shirt if it hasn't already. I believe it has already. Let me just pull this bad boy up. Image, add source, news source. Yeah, here we go. Let's just make this a little smaller, and by a little I mean a lot. Yeah, let's not move the chat box all the way over. Hey, it's going to take a little bit of moving around. I apologize. Here we go. The Trump mugshot. Yeah, not going to lie. If nothing else, Trump is good at branding himself. Thank you for the coffee, Peach. Yeah, I think it has already been a very popular T-shirt. And frankly, I'm surprised that apparently, according to his prison physical, Trump only weighs 215 pounds. You, sir, you are not carrying it well. Yeah, I don't believe that Donald Trump is 215 pounds, to be quite honest. But yeah, if Trump is good at anything, it's good at branding himself, and he will ride this to the bank. Okay, Ian Kempster says, these leg extensions are kicking my ass. Trump says, according to Judge Ludding and Professor Tribe, anybody who's been involved in an insurrection cannot run for office. 14th Amendment, Section 3, no conviction needed, Trump is out. Yeah, that's probably what they'll do. Oh my god, I'm not using a coaster for this coffee. How uncivilized of me. I mean, I know a lot of people are sort of pushing for Trump to run again. I don't know if he will. I think honestly Trump might be happy with just marketing the hell out of these mugshot t-shirts, which are going to be pretty popular. You can bet on that. Let's see what happens. Let's see if he runs for president again. I don't know if he will. Hey, let's get this image off. But yeah, I highly doubt the Trump being 6'3" and 215. I'm 6'1" and like 190. And Trump's a bit of a fatty. I'm not, no offense, but yeah. Either he's like 100% fat or he's vastly lying about his weight. Ian Kempster says Trump is better than Biden. Technically, I might agree. I think Biden is completely out of touch and way too old for office. I mean, not a huge fan of either of them, to be quite honest. I mean, a part of me kind of wants Trump to run for president again just to see, like, the hysteria that will kind of inevitably happen when he does, even if he doesn't win. But realistically, I feel like if Trump, even let's assume Trump did get elected president again, and it would just hem and haw and accomplish, nothing, just like the first time, probably. Ian Kempster says, I'm 5'4" and weigh 197 solid muscle. Well, good for you, sir. Ian Kempster says, I heard Joe Exotic is running. I've also heard that Joe Exotic is running. I wonder if Vermin Supreme is going to run. I miss Vermin Supreme in his giant boot helmet. But yes, speaking of America's shenanigans, the Maui thing, the Maui wildfires continue to be an absolute debacle. The death toll is arising, and the response is crap. La Hyena had literal barricades keeping people from leaving. Those who obeyed died, and those who disobeyed orders survived. That is a direct quote from a news story. Let me repeat that. The exact words used. Those who disobeyed survived. Remember that, kids. Obviously, there are basic safety things you can do to ensure your safety. When the flames are roaring towards you, you should probably get a move on. The death toll keeps going up, and people are rightfully outraged at the piss-poor handling of the Hawaiian situation. As I discussed last week, the overthrow of the Hawaiian monarchy in 1898 was a blatant act of imperialism, bloodless though it may have been. I correct myself, it literally had 0 deaths, just a lot of threats of violence. But now that we do have that land, let's not fuck it up and administer the place halfway decently. This is, of course, assuming that the World Economic Forum, BlackRock, multinational corporation people aren't using the Hawaiian archipelago as the laboratory for their theories. The theories they want to implement, in which we are reduced to bedraggled, filth-encrusted peasantry on our knees before our road warrior-esque overlords. Now, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but it is a bit suspicious that all the land owned by the rich people was basically untouched. I don't know how many times I have to say this. It really does seem like our societal betters really do want to be post-apocalyptic warlords wearing assless leather chaps and riding monster trucks all around. Black Rock, enough blood has been split. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Black Rock, enough blood has been spilt. Just walk away. Klaus Schwab, the warrior of the wasteland, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla. Sorry. I feel the need to quote the Road Warrior many, many times. Yes, Biff Slankovich says Trump is 215 pounds. Not. I agree. He is not 215. He never takes his suit jacket off. I mean, I was like, at my fattest, I was like 230, 235, and even I wasn't like as tubby as Trump looks, to be quite honest. But yeah, what else has happened in the United States? My wheelhouse, my favorite thing in the world to watch. A series of school fisticuffs videos happened, one of which had a guy sucker punch another guy, and he still somehow managed to lose. And he also soiled himself in the process. Shall I do a play-by-play? Yes, I'm going to do it right now. Let's see if I can find that video. Let's see what we got here. You have to wade through a video after video of this horseshit. Okay, I can't find it, but yeah, it was Yeah, the guy just ran up on a guy, sucker punched him. They start brawling around. The other guy, went for a takedown, kind of sprawled out, throwing punches. Then you very clearly see a dark, wet stain on the back of the guy who instigated's pants. I not gonna say I've won every fight I've ever been in, but I never crapped myself even at my worst. Yeah, at that point, you're done. You gotta switch schools at that point. Change your name, move to another state, move across the country. That's the only way you can possibly recover from that horror. Hey. Ian Kempster says Trump has to be at least 260 to 280. Biff Slankovich says, did you bet over or under? I had 277. Yeah, I'd go for at least 270 myself. But yeah, with regards to that school thing, I don't know why you wouldn't void your bowels before picking a fight with somebody. I mean, I thoroughly void my bowels before training martial arts. That's not even real fighting. That's just practice sparring. Yeah, yeah, and then there was another school fight video. Another goddamn scene of some shitheel kid hitting his teacher because the teacher had the audacity to take his phone away. And of course, the comments were taking the kid's side. Maybe you should stop taking people's property. How dare you take his property? The teacher isn't taking it permanently, you morons. He's holding it for the period as a disciplinary action. Do you so utterly lack theory of mind that you can't perceive of temporarily holding something? Like, are you an infant who doesn't understand that peekaboo means your dad is still there just behind your hands? Like, do you not understand, future time orientation or the idea that kids should not be on their phones in class? Hey, Artin Rothschild says, hey, yo, what's going on? Nothing too much, pal. How's it going? We started a little bit late due to internet connectivity issues, which is why we have a very low turnout. Also, I'm curious as to where Ponythroat's been for the past couple of weeks. I know he said he worked with asbestos a couple of weeks ago. I assume he got mesothelioma or something. That's a shame. Ian Kempster says, I figure if I'm going to be short, you could at least be wide and jacked. Orc maxing, sir. Maximize that orc physique. Kidding, of course. Ian Kempster says, I respect martial artists. Amazing self-discipline. Well, I don't mean to brag, but yes. Yeah, I don't know. It just, I really probably shouldn't be watching constant videos of kids assaulting their teachers. It's probably not good for my blood pressure. But please, for the love of God, can we give teachers the legal right to hit kids who start shit with them? I'm not in a classroom anymore, technically, but by Jove, it does still anger me when I see those damn kids mouthing off and swinging on those teachers. And no, I'm not going to let this go. I'm not going to let go of that legally retarded shitheel who threatened to murder me in class and how somehow I was going to get punished if I headbutted his stupid porcine face in. People talk about people talk about teachers need to be paid more. I would say that should be doled out on a case-by-case basis. And a lot of teachers are utter garbage, don't deserve money. But I'll be honest with you, if you give me the legal right to punch out delinquent students, I might just get back to the classroom, call it a fringe benefit. But yeah, there is some light at the end of this particular tunnel. A school in Louisiana, because of course it's Louisiana, found a way to reduce the violence by having the kids' dads come in and basically lay the law down. I mean, if it works, it works. I do have to ask why these dads aren't, at work. Like, do they not have somewhere else to be besides playing hall monitor at their shitty kids' shitty school? Ian Kempster says, LMAO, orc physique. Lee Priest is his hero. Hey, I'm just quoting Tolkien's Legendarium. He didn't describe the orcs as being very, thick set and broad, although they were shorter than, man flesh. Yeah, you maximize that, you orc max, sir. But yes, speaking of fisticuffs, a couple of Nick Fuentes fans got the absolute shite kicked out of them today. Well, not today, but a few days ago. Nick Fuentes, of course, being the closeted, wink wink, homosexual, fascist groyper who stirs up a bunch of crap on the internet as he lives in his house with his catboy roommate, wink wink nudge nudge, eating McDonald's. Nick Fuentes tells his audience of chuds that getting a job, getting married, and having families are all gay, and therefore a real man sits around shitposting on Pole all day. Well, I mean, I guess he would know what gay is. Sorry. Well, it turns out that a couple of his shit posters antagonized some pro, or perhaps semi-pro, mixed martial arts fighters, and it didn't go well for them. Yeah, so let's go into that. Two Fuentes fans, two guys who look like they live under bridges and antagonize talking goats for a living, we're having an exchange of words with two MMA fighters from Israel. One, Ben, a redhead, the troll, not the fighter, was apparently denying, or revising the Holocaust. I have some doubts about the numbers, bro. And then they went to the Extreme Couture gym in Las Vegas. I guess that's Randy Couture's gym. And yeah, it's got a play-by-play of this fight, if I can watch. Actually, let me see if I can pull this up on the internets. Let me see if I can find this. I'm going to see if I can play this on the stream. Let's see if I can. Okay, well, I found the channel. Yeah, so here's the video. So I'm going to download this video. It's going to take a little while, but it is worth it. Here we go. Let's see if I can pull this up on the stream. Meanwhile, Ian Kempster says he has a sense of humor about himself. Biff Slankovich says California had a law about paddling, and the Marine Fathers from 29 Palms said, "Where do I sign?" It worked, but I don't know if they still have it. Disobeying in class, that's a paddling. Let's see. Okay, I think I should be able to get this on the stream.
My little brother here is gonna troll. To my surprise, he DM'd me. Told me he's coming to town. He's my sparring partner for today. Why were you talking shit about Jews? Lesson has to be taught here about trolling.
He hasn't watched film on me. I have striking, I have power, I have the size.
Get him!
Oh, sorry, you finish it!
A few days ago, some wimp on Twitter posted a picture of his slim tricep, said this is what every white nationalist should look like, this is what everybody who follows Nick Fuentes should look like.
He is also a Holocaust denier who advocate race war and, I kid you not.
Yeah, so I apologize for that. Yeah, let's see. Let's go to the fight. Okay, so step one, this, Billy Groat's gruff troll here gets into the ring with Mr. Jiu-Jitsu. So let's do the play-by-play. All right, ding, ding. Okay. He, let's see, clinches up, a couple jabs, roundhouse kick to the stomach, throws like the dorkiest looking round kick I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, it's just a colossal beatdown. It's not great for Ben here. Awkward bull rushes don't work, sir. Nice side kick to the guts. I mean, I guess I shouldn't have expected much from a Nick Fuentes fan. And we end with a nice Ezekiel choke. And see, then we got another fight going on here with a quite obviously not white man who is also a groyper. I don't know why this guy would be hanging out with white supremacists. A heavyset brown man, but whatever. A distinctly brown troll named CJ, and yeah, he gets the shit kicked out of him too. It was not a good day for the groypers. Okay, but moving on. We're going to look up some more international news because, of course, we are. Once again, Chinese propaganda makes America look way cooler than it has any right to be. Let's pull that up. Image-wise, I apologize again for the video not being able to have sound. Obviously, I should have test ran this before I tried to play it. Ian Kempster says, white supremacists are absolute sacks of shit. Yes, especially ones who are not white, but they latch on to Nick Fuentes trying to... I don't even know what the hell his game plan was. But I guess the joke isn't wrong that your average internet white supremacist is basically a brown person. But yeah, anyway, I saw this on the Twitters. And yeah, apparently this is from some Chinese propaganda cartoon. And is this not the greatest thing you've ever seen in your life? Like, I would buy plushies of every one of these goddamn, like, Regal Eagles or whatever the hell this is. Like, I want this, like, MacArthur, like, plushie eagle, and I want it now. I mean, if Build-A-Bear wants to regain my respect from, you know, their terrible hiring policies, you should allow me to build this MacArthur, like, eagle plushie. I will get in Build-A-Bear yesterday, and I'll build one. Yeah, also a three-piece suit machine gun eagle. I would also like one of those. Like, I'm sorry, like, can Chinese propaganda not make America look cool? I guess it's just like a Asian thing in general, because North Korea's cartoon Squirrel and Hedgehog looks really... I'm sorry, it makes America look really cool, too. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You could make much better anti-American propaganda just by showing American news, showing what we're actually celebrating nowadays. Just like show like our, you know, transgender military officers and like fat women dancing about. That'll turn more people against America than this like cartoon eagle thing, personally speaking. Oh, if only I knew how to sew, I would make that MacArthur eagle. And also, I can't help but feel that the East respects Douglas MacArthur much more than actual Americans do. If any American youth nowadays even know who he is. But I digress. Okay, what else is going on in international news? In Germany, okay, German kindergartens promote sexual exploration rooms where children are encouraged to feel each other's naughty bits and masturbate. Boy, Germany cannot just go halfway, can they? When they go to the right, they really go to the right. And when they go to the left, they're really going to the left. Please, Germany, can you please just find the middle ground for once in your life? I mean, I only say this because I feel like this is eventually going to lead to a massive pendulum swing. And Germany swinging to the far right again is not something anybody wants. I say as there's a tweet under this where it says, like, my grandpa goes to the range every week in case Germany wants to go a third round. Well, I guess eventually this is all going to lead to that. But then again, I can't really criticize considering America's probably doing the same thing or going to. If we're not there already. And I'd like to specify that I am very much in favor of sexual education for teenagers, people who are going through puberty and they need it, not the children. Please stay away from the children. There's a reason why I have wood chipper memes in my meme reel. Artin Rothschild says, the more I listen, the more I realize I have no idea what's going on here, but do go on. I'm going to go back to sleep now. See ya. Laughy face. I mean, I have like bullet points I want to talk about, and they're all loosely connected based upon, you know, news stories and things like that. I'll go from like nation to nation or, similar story to similar story. I mean, if you want to go to sleep, that's fine. I would prefer if you stayed, to be quite honest. My wife says my stream is a good opportunity to learn about what's happening in the world. Yeah, that's one way to put it. I don't really know if my stream is particularly healthy for my own mental health. Considering that, I just read about endless strife and pain. Okay, so apparently this is not all in Germany. It's apparently just one school that tried it. Actually, just like 2 childcare facilities. So, it's not totally like that. It's not all German kindergartens, just a couple. Bit of a clickbait headline. But yeah, let's just keep an eye on it. I don't approve of this, certainly. And yeah, speaking of vaguely related things, the Brazilian Supreme Court rules that homophobia is now punishable by prison. Hate speech is punishable by prison terms of 2 to 5 years in Brazil. Now, personally, I, of course, don't approve of jailing people just for speech. Obviously, you should not, hassle people who are gay. You should not, attack people. But I don't know. How are we defining homophobia here? Like, a few months ago, I talked about a homeless derelict who crapped on a rainbow flag. Is that homophobia? If I point out that some transgenders are, high IQ, highly aggressive macho men who bully cis women, is that homophobia? I don't know. My wife says she learns from my streams all the time, my dear. Thank you. Ian Kempster says, I hope cooler heads will prevail. Well, we all hope so. But yes, obviously I wish the gays in Brazil and everywhere else the best. But I don't know, I don't know how they're defining homophobia here. It seems like you could put people in jail on very flimsy charges, personally. And with that being said, but actually vaguely related to the LGBT crowd, let's bring it to popular culture. Both Alice Cooper and Carlos Santana, both rock and roll legends, caused a bit of controversy this past week, saying that they were both against the trans surgeries for the kids. Alice Cooper was dropped by Vampire with a Y Cosmetics, who market goth-themed makeup, because of his statements. In light of recent statements by Alice Cooper, we will no longer be doing a makeup collaboration. We stand with all members of the LGBTQIA plus community. Everybody should have access to health care. Now, bear in mind that he was not saying anything against trans people on the whole, just that children should not be having sex changes. And yes, I agree. And obviously, the inevitable happened. Everybody was like, how, Alice Cooper trans, bestrided gender and he, gender bent. Did he really? I mean, he just wears eyeliner. Does that automatically make you like a trans icon? So I guess every ancient Egyptian person was a trans icon, I suppose. Yes, Alice Cooper said, the trans movement is a fad, wokeness is stupid, neither belong anywhere near the children's. Yes, I agree. Again, I'm all for gender reassignment surgery for an adult, just not the kids. And yes, supporting trans surgeries for the kids is basically proper mainstream opinion, and people are shocked and awed that Alice Cooper might not be with the mainstream. Hey, he told you himself, he ain't one of the crowd, he ain't one of the guys. He disappoints them and they run and they hide. He's a teenage Frankenstein. Spoken word lyrics, nobody enjoys that. Yes, Carlos Santana is also against such things. He literally stopped a show in the middle of playing to speak out about children having sex changes. Unfortunately, Carlos Santana then apologized for it a few days later. Alice Cooper did not. We will see what happens. Okay. Ian Kemster says, I like this because your YouTube channel is definitely one of my favorite ones. I like the interaction you do with the followers. Yes, I try to interact with my followers. Fortunately, the past couple of weeks, I've not had many followers. Where are all my regulars? I don't know. Anyway, also in the pop culture news, speaking of video game news, big news in the world of video games, Charles Martinet officially retires. The voice of Super Mario and many other characters in the Mario franchise, he is done. He's retiring. He's going to be a brand ambassador from now on. I mean, on the one hand, it's obviously very sad. He's been there for a long time. But on the other hand, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I never cared for his Mario voice. I always vastly preferred like the Lou Albano, Danny Wells, like kind of Brooklyn accented shit kicker voice. And I'm really hoping they go back to that. So, Charles Martinet, I applaud you for your service, but I could do without your bing bing wahoo noises personally. Also in the video game news, Baldur's Gate 3 came out, and it's causing controversy for the obvious reasons that you would expect. It's the orcs are racist crap again. And I quote directly, the racism in Baldur's Gate is genuinely so fucking hard on me. Playing a tiefling as a black person is brutal. Your party members antagonize you, the game antagonizes you, and the plot positions you as the bad guy if you don't help the druids, calling you slurs. To your face, 1 out of 3 posts. Sir, you are aware that tieflings are literally half demon, right? I mean, maybe it's wrong, but you can understand why there is discrimination against them. And then, of course, this led to the inevitable crap about, orcs are racist. Goblins are racist. Again, I don't understand how a muscular green man with tusks is supposed to evoke black people. I mean, if you see a green man with tusks speaking in a, Cockney accent, and you immediately think this is black-coded, I think you're the problem, sir. Maybe you are racist. Also, relevance. In the same game, I believe, there was a bit of a tiff because there's like a romantic subplot. And you can pick which lady or bear, I guess. I think there's some kind of like bear sex that also happens or something. But yeah, you pick your romantic partner, and surprise, everybody's picking the cute elf girl over the giant orc woman. And apparently this is a bit of a problem that people were writing about. I mean, I don't know why this is like... Yeah, this is a beef, but yeah, apparently everyone's really upset that people are choosing Shadowheart, the elf girl, to romance and not the large orc woman. Let's pull up this picture here. So I see there's some comments, but I will look at it once I am done uploading this picture. I mean, all things considered, Lizelle the orc, she doesn't look that bad by orc standards. Yeah, I mean, she doesn't even have tusks. She doesn't look bad at all. Okay. Biff Slankovich referring to Lou Albano and Tony Altamori, they were heel tag team wrestlers. They had good matches against Antonino Rocca, Bobo Brazil, and Bearcat Wright. Indeed, they did. Then refers to Arnold Scollin, the Golden Boy. He lost a lot of matches. Indeed, he did, sir. But yes, I'm sorry, not Arnold Scollin. Captain Lou Albano is and always will be my favorite Mario voice. Fortunately, he's no longer with us, but again, you could literally go to Brooklyn and hire an actual plumber, and he could probably do the voice pretty decently. Ian Kempster says, I picked up Skyrim, the Anniversary Edition. It's just as good as it ever was. Hey, I still like Morrowind, actually. But yeah, I mean, people are a bit surprised that men want elves, not orcs. But again, the orc isn't that bad, all things considered. I would respect anybody who chooses her. I told my wife about this controversy, and she wasn't aware of what Baldur's Gate was. I had to gently remind my lady love, we saw the Dungeons and Dragons movie. It took place in Baldur's Gate. Then she remembered. Anyway, yeah, I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3. I don't think my computer can. So, I'll take their word for it. Anyway, yeah, speaking of professional wrestling, Terry Funk died the other day, which is a damn shame. I honestly thought he was going to be one of those guys who lived to be like 500. But yeah, he's getting lit on fire and barbed wired in heaven. I'm curious as to whether like Japan is having a state like funeral for him, which they honestly might. He was very popular in the land of the rising sun. And that does it for my prepared remarks. Hey, Biff Slankovich says those were the days, Bedlam from Boston. Yes, we all miss the territory days of wrestling. Jim Tooner says Bray Wyatt also died this week. Oh, yes, I also did read that. That is also unfortunate, especially that latter one. I mean, he was only like 36 or 37. And yes, I do find it very amusing, going back to Terry Funk, that in the movie Roadhouse, he calls Sam Elliott's character like grandpa or dad, as if he has any business making fun of anybody's age, to be quite honest. And that was 89. He was already an old geezer then. But yes, that does it for my prepared remarks. If anybody has anything else to say, you can say it now. Let's see. Jim Tooner says Terry Funk's knees were wrecked in the 1970s. I don't know how he wrestled so long. I don't know either. Even in 99, they said like he literally had no cartilage in his legs, and he just kept going. Again, I feel like all the motor oil and like barbed wire that he like slammed into his face in the 70s probably kind of inured him to all pain. Biff Slankovich says, good job. Ian Kempster says Oblivion needs a remake. You know what actually could use a remake? Daggerfall. I know they did technically do a Daggerfall remake of like the Daggerfall Unity engine. Which I still have to play. I mean, I know Daggerfall is an enormous undertaking. But yeah, with regards to Elder Scrolls, I just can't help but notice that like the games just keep getting smaller and smaller. I mean, I'd be willing to take like a slight graphical, decline in order to cram more features into it. Ahem, Todd Howard. Jim Tooner says Terry Funk was smart. He did movies to get SAG health insurance. Yeah, so did Mick Foley. Anyway, yeah, unfortunately, we didn't have too many people today. It's because I really do think it's because I had to, show up 10 minutes late. But I think it was good, all things considered. All right, say your last pieces, s'il vous plaît. Briefly scrolling through this thread on the Baldur's Gate 3 thing, the tiefling, I don't know if this is the same tiefling he's referring to, but there is a tiefling, like, barbarian woman, and she's not bad looking either. I mean, like, the weird, like, scales on her right shoulder are a little bit of a turnoff, but otherwise she looks pretty good for a half-demon. I don't know, like, all these Baldur's Gate 3 women, they look halfway decent. I don't see the problem here. I'd play multiple save files just to, like, romance all of them. I mean, if games really want to be advanced, you can make it so, like, you have the potential to romance all of them, and then you have to kind of juggle all three of them, or none. I don't think games are ready for that conversation yet. Okay, Jim Tooner says, did you offer an opinion on Ahsoka? No, I did not. I barely know what that is. That's some Star Wars thing, isn't it? I mean, I know that, like, Disney's Star Wars is, like, the most annoying sort of, like, girl boss feminist horseshit, which I don't really approve of. I mean, it's amazing how Disney took, like, a brand as ironclad as Star Wars and just ran it into the goddamn ground. So no, I don't care about Ahsoka. Honestly, I'd care more if they did, like, Jaxxon, the miniseries, to be honest. Jaxxon, if you remember, is one of, like, 5 green space rabbits that were around in the 80s for some strange reason. Yeah, bring back Jaxxon, or, like, do, like, another Ewok movie. Bring back Wilford Brimley. Wait, is Wilford Brimley alive? Gotta look this up. No, Wilford Brimley is dead. He died in 2020. And now I have to look up Wilford Brimley's role in the Ewok movie. Jesus H. Christ. Jim Tuner says COVID got Wilford. Looking it up, it says it was kidney failure, possibly COVID related. I don't know. Oh shit, it's WebP. Gotta hold on 1 second. Gotta snip this. But yeah, it's a shame that Star Wars could survive like the holiday special and the Ewok movies, but it couldn't survive Kathleen Kennedy's regime. Okay. If Star Wars survived this shit, but it couldn't survive Kathleen Kennedy. And check out this looker right here. That's Wilford's role in Star Wars. He was a human trader who crash landed on the Ewok planet. Anyway, yeah, this is all Star Wars Legends canon, which means it doesn't count anymore. Because in her infinite wisdom, Kathleen Kennedy just threw out all the extended universe books and comics and video games and TV shows, and then had the audacity to say we don't have source material to work with. That was not a good move, Kathleen. But no, Jim, I don't have an opinion on Ahsoka. I could not possibly care less about Ahsoka Tano. Right. Yeah, here we are, still in the Kibbles and Bits section, so you can, talk about whatever you want. Okay, doesn't seem like anybody has anything to say. So, for Larsen Halleck, this has been Larsen Halleck. All of you have a good day. Please subscribe, share, and wait. Biff Slankovich says, I heard if we all keep our cell phones for 1 extra year, the country will save millions of dollars in energy depletion. Yes, thank you. My wife always tells me to get a new cell phone. I'm not getting a new cell phone because I'm saving the planet. All right, so I think that's probably going to be the last Kibbles and Bits. So I'll just end it here. Again, for Larsen Halleck, this has been Larsen Halleck from the Chateau de Larsen. Please subscribe, share, tell everybody I really need the money. Subscribe, give me money. All of you have a good day. Goodbye, everybody.